What's up guys, Brad here from Piney Grove, and spring has sprung, and today will be our first mowing here on Piney Grove. But Mrs. Piney Grove has beat me to it. I'll show you in a minute what I'm going to be mowing with, but while I was working on that, she came in and grabbed her favorite machine on the farm, and that's her Kubota ZD 1011 zero turn. And before I knew it, she was out here mowing. She's a little speed racer on that thing. She got it started mowing before I could even say anything. Last weekend we took it out just to make sure that the battery was charged and it was running good, but we didn't have a chance to mow, so she's been waiting all morning for the grass to get dry enough to mow. But now let me show you what I'll be mowing with. I'll be using the Summit TX25H hydrostatic 25 horsepower tractor and the Summit FMX 60 5-foot finish mower. If you're not familiar with our channel, Summit has loaned us the tractor and all the implements we need to take care of our 20 acres out here at Piney Grove. But this is the first time that I've hooked up the finish mower to the tractor. So before I get mowing, I wanted to talk about a few things that I had to do, because regardless of the manufacturer of the implement that you're buying, there's certain things you need to check. And in fact, right on the cover, it says, important, check oil in the gearbox and grease fittings before use. So that's what I did. I took the cover off, and I really like the way that cover comes off easily. I'll show you how it goes back on. But we have 4 casters here, and each of those casters has 2 grease fittings. You've got one here where the caster moves up and down, and then you have one on the caster itself. And all 4 of those fittings had the manufacturer's paint over top of them. And that's very common. I've bought equipment all my life, and it's very common for them to assemble the equipment and run it through the spray booth, so the color of the implement gets on things that are unintended, like grease fittings, the belt, and things like that. So I had to scrape off the paint to get grease in those, so they're all greased properly. The casters themselves were fine. Now the big thing about maintaining a finish mower is the spindles, and it's the same type of setup as a zero-turn mower or your ride mower. So this has 3 spindles where 3 blades are attached. So there's 3 grease fittings, one for each one of them. All of them had paint over top. So I chipped that paint off and filled those up with grease. And then the gearbox has a breather, and the breather was painted over, so I had to clean that up, and also took out the plug of the gearbox, and I checked the level of the gear oil, and it has plenty of oil in it. But those are the main big ticket items that you have to check on this particular piece of equipment. Let me show you how to put that cover back on, and then we'll get to mowing. So while I'm putting this on, I'll tell you about my experience with finish mowers. Last year I bought a 6-foot wide John Deere finish mower. And it was used, and this has nothing to do with John Deere versus Summit, because Summit doesn't make this finish mower. Someone else makes it for them, and they rebranded it. But when I look at this finish mower, it is, I would say, just looking at it. Now I haven't used it, so that's not fair to say that it's better in that regard. But as far as ease of maintenance, the cover on the John Deere requires, I think, 4 bolts that are through-bolted through the deck. And so you got to come up from underneath with a wrench and then hold the top with a ratchet, or vice versa. And this one is 2 turn knobs that go over top of studs that are pre-positioned. So right there, that makes it easier to check the belt. Because one thing about finish mowers is they throw the belts a lot, and you always want to keep an eye on those belts, make sure they're not wearing out. So that cover goes on and off easily, even when I'm distracted trying to talk to the camera. And then these 2 round knobs go on top of these threaded studs, and then that's it. That's all it takes to be able to service those spindles and also check on the belt. I'll hit on a couple more things that I saw as I was going around servicing this mower. So even though it attaches to the tractor with a 3-point hitch, just like most, or if not all, other implements, it doesn't use this 3-point hitch as you're using it, except for a way to pull it. The only reason it has a 3-point hitch is so you can lift it up. It's basically towed and sits on the casters. But one thing I did notice is where the bottom of your lift arms are attached to, or the bottom of this frame, this is way more steel than in the John Deere. and it's box framed, so that makes it really, really strong here. And also I noticed that in the front, it's got an anti-scalp roller built into the mower. And I actually bought that as a kit for the John Deere mower, and I haven't put it on yet, but that was not cheap for that kit. And the last thing I want to mention that I noticed is that this steel on the front of the mower is a lot thicker than on that John Deere finish mower. And that's important because even though you have an anti-scalp roller and you have these casters, when you go across uneven land, you will hit the front of this mower on things. And if you hit it and dent it too much, you'll end up impacting the blades. The blades will actually hit the mower. And that also is true here on the side of the mower. This is very thick steel. I could measure that, but you can see right there how thick it is. And this is important too, because if you hit something on the side, the blade is right here. And I actually, on the John Deere mower, hit something on the side here as I went around a tree or something, and it pushed this in, and the blade actually cut right through the metal. I better hurry up and get to work. Deb has already mowed in front of the mega shed and in front of the house. And I actually asked her to turn off the mower so I could do a little recording, but she's ready to do all up behind there, which will be the backyard of our new house. We have so much grass to mow out here that it was hard to drive by the pond and not drop the mower. But Deb likes to mow that, and I'm gonna mow out here alongside the road because it's a county road. It gets a decent amount of traffic, and I think it's just safer to mow with the tractor than to have Deb out here on the zero turn. So we'll be mowing this side. That's about 6 or 7 passes. And then the same over here, 6 or 7 passes, maybe a little bit more on this side, all the way up to the edge of the fence. And it's the county's responsibility to mow that, but they don't mow it that often. And also, if you keep it mowed, they won't mow it, and then they won't bring all the weed seeds, especially the thistle seeds from other properties, onto your properties. We like to have a nice clean entrance out here to the farm, so we just do it ourselves. First thing you gotta do when you live on a road like this is pick up the trash. It's mainly cigarette packages, fast food wrappers, and beer cans and beer bottles. I just don't understand why people just can't keep that in their car and then put it in their trash at home. Whenever you get a new piece of equipment, it takes a little bit of time to get used to it. Even in a case like this, where I've already had some experience with a finish mower, but this finish mower on this tractor is new to me. I'm just trying to be careful on my first few passes until I get used to the way that it operates behind the tractor. But so far, I'm impressed. It's doing a fabulous job. And one thing, if you didn't know that about finish mowers, is they tend to be, if they're not all, rear discharge. So with rear discharge, I don't have to worry about the grass that I'm cutting going into the road. So I can go right up to the road and not have to worry about that. And that's different from a brush hog. Now, it throws grass out to one side, and you gotta be conscious of which way you're mowing alongside a road. Also, I got the tractor at 540 RPM like you need to have for this mower. And it's cutting the grass fine, but in the thick stuff down there at the end, you can hear the tractor start to labor a little bit. So while it's handling this mower fine, I don't think it could handle a 6-foot mower in thicker grass. Miss Piney Grove is just going to town. We got it all mowed out here on the front of the property, and I'll have to say I couldn't be more pleased with the performance of the mower and how it looks. If you're here for Summit content and wondering how the TX25 handles this mower, this is the right size mower for this tractor. Now, I mentioned earlier that we have the 6-foot mower, and I do want to do a test in a video to see if the Summit can handle that mower, but just based on what I've been doing here in the past hour or so, I would say that that's the maximum amount of finish mower that you want behind that tractor. And it's interesting because I just got a comment this morning on an older finish mower video that I have out there, because it's that time of year when people are starting to think about cutting their grass. And someone actually bought the 6-foot John Deere mower because of our video. And then he went on to say that he has the John Deere 25 horsepower tractor. I think he had the 10 series and now he has the 2 series. And I don't know what he's cutting, but in that video I was cutting knee-high Bahia grass, and that's a real stringy grass, and it was bogging down our Kubota L3901, which is a 38 horsepower tractor that's got 32 PTO horsepower at the back. This Summit has 18 PTO horsepower, and with a 5-foot mower in thick grass, you can feel it. You can also feel when you're going along and let's say you're lifting your loader to get closer to the poles of the fence here. You can also feel the mower bringing down the tractor a little bit when you do that. So while I don't doubt any comment that a viewer puts out there, because that's their experience, I would say don't try and run a 6-foot mower behind a 25 horsepower tractor in tall grass. It may do it, but it's probably not good for it if that's what it's doing every day, day in and day out in the summer. Before I close out this video, I wanted to hit one more point about finish mowers, and that's that they're not a brush hog and they're not made for places where you're going to hit a lot of like thick brush or branches. Finish mowers are essentially 0 turns. They have 3 blades on them, and those 3 blades are probably the same durability or strength as a lawnmower blade. So if you're looking for one mower on your property and you have some rough cutting to do, the finish mower is probably not the one for you. I got a lot of advice from fellow tractor owners that you don't want a finish mower. They're a lot of hassle. The belts on them can slip, they need adjusting, they can break, they got 3 spindles, they need greasing. And of course the blades don't last a long time, especially in areas like this where there's a lot of sand, it may be little rocks that come up and dull the blades. But I'll say for us at Piney Grove, for what we need a mower to do, a finish mower fits right in, and it's just another tool in our toolbox. I can't finish mow in a lot of places that I want to right now because we had a lot of high wind storms this winter, and it knocked off a lot of these upper limbs off these pine trees, and they need to be ground up with a brush hog. So that's a prime example of where you need a brush hog to do that heavy cutting, and then after that's all ground up, I can come in behind with the finish mower the rest of the summer and keep it groomed and looking good. I'm gonna give Miss Piney Grove an opportunity to talk about her experience. Come over here, babe. I got one mic, and she doesn't want to get too close to the camera because she is filthy from mowing.
I am filthy from mowing, and I have divots in my face from my safety glasses. I was so excited to get back on Spunky. It was so fun. I would have kept on going, but we're getting cloudy. We're gonna have to head home, and I wanted to run Bella. But the lawnmower sat up for 8 months, or 8 months or so, and it started up, it ran well, she's cutting well, and I didn't honestly want to get off it.
I catch a lot of flack from my content creator friends because they seem to hate to mow, and both of us love to mow out here at Piney Grove. But that's going to wrap it up for today's video, folks. We sure appreciate you watching. We'll put up a couple links here to a couple of our other videos, but until next time, y'all take care out there, and remember, life's short.
Be kind.
And tractor hard. I messed that up.